Oh, welcome to the Ringer NFL show. The 2025 season is underway. Sheil Kapadia here with my friend Diante Lee. Eagles beat the Cowboys 24-20. Diante, I mean, this had a little bit of everything. We had a magic loogie before the game. No, I guess before the first play from scrimmage. We had an ejection. We had a weather delay. We had offensive fireworks and then offensives that couldn't do anything. From an entertainment value, I feel like this delivered, right?
No. When you say it had everything, you know how they say, like, there's everything complimentary and everything derogatory. In a lot of ways, maybe I'm just kind of biased by the second half because we're jumping on right in the wake of the end of this game. But when you say it had everything, the first thing I thought about was that might be a little bit more derogatory than I think complimentary.
It might be. Yeah. It didn't end with a bang. They came back from that weather delay and it was like, wait, what happened to the teams we saw before this thing? We're going to get into all of it. Me, Diante and I, and then at the end, I'm going to make some picks for the Ringer 107 contest. If you don't know what that is, don't worry. I'll explain at the end. So let's take a quick break. We come back. Let's get into the first game of the 2025 NFL season. This is the Ringer NFL show presented by FanDuel, and the NFL is officially back. So if you're going to be in it with FanDuel. They've got the goods, futures, live betting, SGPs, your way bets, all of it. The app's clean. It's fast. And yeah, when you win, you get paid instantly, which is nice because Sunday patience doesn't exist. So get your bets in, build something bold, and make every game feel bigger. Download the FanDuel app or head to FanDuel.com/RingerNFL to get started. The Ringer is committed to responsible gaming. Please visit rg-help.com to learn more about the resources and helplines available, and listen to the end of the episode for additional details. Must be 21 plus and present in select states, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. Paid endorsement. All right, we're back on the Ringer NFL show. Diante, I'm starting because I have a takeaway from this game. I want to hear what you think about it, but my big takeaway is I would be furious if I was a Cowboys fan watching this game. Now, you're probably saying, well, you'd be furious because CeeDee Lamb had those key drops and it was a winnable game. I'm zooming out, and I don't mean to be a troll or come with a hot take and keep bringing up the same stuff, but I couldn't help.
I know where you're going.
You know where I'm going with this. Watching this game, thinking the Cowboys probably are a more interesting team than people thought they were going to be. The Cowboys offense looked pretty good until that weather delay, going up and down the field, touchdown, field goal, driving again. I mean, they had some self-inflicted stuff at the end, but this is a team that maybe could make some noise in the NFC if they had one of the best defensive players in the league. And I'm sorry, Cowboy, I know you're trying to let it go, but that is where my mind went when I watched this game. I thought, man, if Micah Parsons is chasing down Jalen Hurts on some of these scrambles and pressuring the Eagles on some of those key third downs, do you win this football game? Now, that could go either way. But other, future games this season with Dak Prescott playing like he did tonight, I thought he was awesome. With that offensive line passing its first test with unproven tackles and a rookie at right guard, I thought that was encouraging. And then defensively, you have holes and you don't have that one pass rusher. So I don't know. Am I being a troll with that being the first place my mind goes to with this football game?
Not at all. As a matter of fact, the thing that I was thinking about before we jumped on was a segment that you had at the top of this week, just kind of rehashing the details of the Micah Parsons trade. And you pointed it out, and I know several other Cowboys reporters and people who follow the league on a national level pointed it out as well, that when he's on the field over the course of his career, number one defense in the league by a lot of efficiency metrics. You take them off and they're the worst defense in the league by the same metrics. And you just can't help but think as you're watching the first half, and seeing Philadelphia just be on schedule the entire way up and down the field. And every time they're in an obvious passing situation, you get Jalen Hurts patting the ball in the pocket. Oh, you guys lose your rush lane integrity because you got a bunch of young guys, speed rushers, guys that can't close, can't finish. He can just get outside the pocket.
Because it was a reminder that Dak Prescott is a very good quarterback when he's healthy and he has like enough help around him. You know, we talked about them all of last year and it was CeeDee Lamb and nothing else. And now George Pickens didn't have a monster game, but he's another option on the field. And I thought they did some good things offensively. I thought he threw the ball really well. And they're 30 games over 500 in the regular season with Dak Prescott. And he's 32 years old. And it's just, I can't get over that by the time you see that second first round pick, he's going to be 34 years old and might look like you will have wasted, 2 seasons potentially by the time you're seeing that compensation that you got from Micah Parsons. So again, I promise I'm not trying to be a troll with this. I'm not trying to harp on the same points over and over again, but that's where my mind went because I really thought it was an encouraging performance from that Cowboys offense. But I look at it and go, even though the defense finished strong and I thought they played hard, I just don't know that that's going to be a unit anyone's going to be able to trust this season.
The story of the Eagles season, which is where I want to start, to me in 2025 is going to be, can you win in different ways, right? I think a lot about 2023, which wasn't a contending year for them for reasons that obviously have been rehashed 1,000 times over with the offensive line and offensive construction. But I thought in 2023, the story of that regular season was, oh, this team can go into the fourth quarter, pass the ball, and be efficient doing it. And you know they still have the run game. I was looking at Philadelphia, and I was really impressed in the first half, right? Like, there's an art to being unimpressive in the passing game sometimes. And when you look at their EPA per dropback and success rate numbers in the first half, that was actually the best first half that Philadelphia has had in terms of EPA per dropback and success rate since 2022. In any first half of the regular season that they've had, basically since they've been making these Super Bowl runs. And it looked like that to me. Even though Devontae Smith wasn't touching the ball a bunch, even though A.J. Brown didn't see the ball at all, you saw Jalen Hurts that was able to sit in the pocket, work effectively versus soft zone coverage. They were able to lean on the run game in early downs. And I was like, okay, maybe we're seeing some of the things that Kevin Patullo said he was going to add to the offense to help, move this thing along. And then you come out in the second half and it looked very much like 2024 Philadelphia all over again. Run on first down, run on second down, third down, Jalen is scrambling around, throwing the ball away instead of putting it in harm's way. And they were able to sit on the lead that way. But it's hard not to think, like, when you're dealing with a team that's more competitive in the first half defensively, or maybe you're behind in the game script, is Jalen Hurts, is this passing offense going to be able to call upon what we saw in the playoff run, in the NFC Championship game, and the Super Bowl specifically, to be able to move the chains and not be so over-reliant on Saquon Barkley?
That felt a little bit more like some of the times last year where we said, how many times do they call a pass play and no one is targeted, whether it's a scramble or a throwaway or a sack? Now, sacks weren't the issue today, but even some of the blitzing that the Cowboys did in the second half, where they were very conservative in the first half, and then they said, we got to make something happen here. Right. And you saw some of those issues we saw 2 years ago for the Eagles when they had no answers against the blitz. Those were surfacing as well. So yeah, it was just a very weird game for them offensively, and I feel like it might be one of those things where we watch them for a month and we're still not sure. And maybe we're talking in December and it's like, oh, they made these changes after week X and figured some things out. But yeah, I'm with you. It was quite an uneven performance from the Eagles offensively and Jalen Hurts. I want to take a break. I want to come back. And I do want to talk about the Eagles defense because I think
there's a lot to talk about there.
In Philadelphia, if there is some I don't know, panic's too strong. If there's some concern about what Eagles fans saw tonight, I think might even be more on the defensive side of the ball. So let's take a break. We come back. We talk about that. The Ringer NFL show is brought to you by FanDuel. Football fans, the wait is over. The NFL is back, and the best place to kick off the season is on FanDuel. Because every game day during week one, FanDuel is giving all customers a no-sweat NFL bet. From the money line to player props to same-game parlays, your no-sweat bet can be used on any NFL wager type. And if it doesn't win, you'll get bonus bets back. I'm going to give you my 5 favorite bets at the end of this episode for the Ringer 107. I'll give you a hint. Maybe that Cleveland Browns team can cover the 5.5. So you can look at the lines for week one. And remember, this season, make FanDuel your go-to app for any snap. Just visit FanDuel.com/RingerNFL to kick off the NFL season with a no-sweat bet every game day during Week 1. Play your game with FanDuel, an official sports betting partner of the NFL. Must be 21 plus and present in select states or 18 plus and present in D.C., Kentucky, or Wyoming. Opt-in required. Refund issued as non-withdrawable bonus bets that expire 7 days after receipt. Max refund $5 unless otherwise specified. Restrictions apply, including token expiration. See terms at sportsbook.fanduel.com. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut. All right, we are back on the Ringer NFL show. And this episode of Clutch Plays is brought to you by Amazon Business. And I want to get to the bigger picture stuff, Diante, on the defense, but probably the biggest play of the game. Eagles are up 24-20, third quarter. Cowboys are driving. Miles Sanders had the 49-yard run. Reed Blankenship is called for the penalty in the end zone. And you're thinking, Cowboys are about to take the lead here. Jahad Campbell, the rookie, Byron Young, the backup defensive tackle, they combined for the forced fumble on Miles Sanders. That, to me, was the biggest play of the game because at that point, the Eagles had not gotten a stop, literally. It was touchdown, field goal for the Cowboys, and then you get the fumble with them in the red zone. So that was a clutch play, but overall, this certainly was not the Eagles' defense that we saw for most of last year. And a lot of the concerns, I think, that people had about them defensively, those were precisely the things that were exposed in this game. Adoree Jackson at the second cornerback spot had a very tough time. The pass rush, inconsistent there. Obviously, not having Jalen Carter for this game after he spits at Dak Prescott was a big factor there. But what were kind of your biggest concerns with the Eagles defense? Or do you say, settle down? It's week 1. This is maybe what you expected it to look like.
I think it's a both and situation. To me, the hallmark of the Super Bowl run for Philadelphia was that defensively, they were always able to make their opponents play left-handed, right? And a lot of that was taking the run game away from Green Bay, taking the run game away from Los Angeles on early downs, definitely taking away Jaden Daniels' ability to create with his legs in the NFC Championship game and not allowing RPOs from Kansas City. So no matter what it's been that they've had to face off against, they've done an excellent job of being able to take those strengths away and force offenses to play on Philadelphia's defense's terms. That's not what we saw in the first half, and really not what we saw up until that fumble, right? We saw a Dallas offense that was able to move the ball in between the tackles, whether it was under center with the run game, going shotgun with quick game. They were obviously able to take advantage of mismatches on the perimeter with CeeDee Lamb multiple times in one-on-one coverage against Adoree Jackson early in the game. And I think that those things can be addressed, right? But it's very easy, and I think it would be rightful for any fan or observer to say, I think that we just realized where the issues might be for Philadelphia. Not necessarily like this is going to be why they're not contenders, but if you want to point something out and identify this is going to be something that they're clearly going to have to work through all season long. The fact that they couldn't get the same kind of pass rush with 4, something that happened throughout the regular season last year, and maybe having Jalen Carter helps you finish some of those sacks that Jordan Davis was missing. But it is something that we're going to be talking about throughout the year. And when you don't have the turnover luck that they had during that playoff run, during the back half of the regular season in 2024, it's just hard to live this way as a football team, right? This is not a Vic Fangio issue. It's not a Zach Bond issue. It's not a Cooper DeJean or Quinyon Mitchell issue. And they had their opportunities to get their hands on the ball and drop some picks tonight. But I do think that we have to be frank and forthcoming and honest about the fact that if we're talking about a defense that doesn't want to blitz and doesn't always get home with the 4-man rush, the coverage has to be perfect. And right now, they don't have a perfect back 5. This is not Houston we're talking about. You know, this is not Minnesota that's going to throw you 1,000 different looks. This is a defense that's going to play pretty straightforward. And the whole mentality is our guys on the back end are either better or more connected than your receivers are. And we did not see that tonight. And I think Dallas kind of gave at least a little bit of the handbook of how you can attack this team down the field in the passing game.
Yeah, I think the reason it's concerning is because you knew it was an issue. They let Darius Slay go, and then they're saying Keely Ringo, young player, we want him to be the guy. It never happens. Like that was the outcome they wanted, and he just didn't play well enough in the summer for them to get there. So then it's, well, What are we going to do? They trade for Jacorian Bennett from the Raiders. He got in the game a little bit today when Adoree Jackson went out, but Adoree Jackson out there tonight. I mean, you saw it. The Cowboys, and I don't, all due respect to Brian Schottenheimer, I don't think people would put him in the same league as like the Kyle Shanahan, Sean McVay, Andy Reid. Like there are other, if he can do that, and I'm the Eagles, like other teams are going to be able to figure out how to attack Adoree Jackson. And it even felt like they were trying to give him help at times and putting Quinyon Mitchell one-on-one with George Pickens, but Jackson wasn't really using the leverage, or there was some mix-up there where he was still giving up explosive plays. So yeah, I think that's concerning for the Eagles just because there's not an obvious fix. The pass rush, you can say, all right, Jalen Carter comes back, it's going to look a lot better. But the secondary, and specifically that one spot at second cornerback, that's going to be a concern for them and something to watch week to week. I will say Zach Bond, you mentioned Zach Bond, and it jogged my memory. He made 2 just clutch plays. I mean, chasing down Miles Sanders, Diante, on that, because that's a 49-yard run that could easily be a touchdown if another linebacker who's not that fast can't catch up to him. And then a few plays later, they end up getting the fumble. I mean, that is a game-changing play. And then he just had a beautiful one just running down the middle of the field. He and Jahad Campbell both had one of those, pass breakups there. So those were clutch plays also. So when it comes to business, Amazon Business is your clutch performer with fast access to essential supplies and flexible purchasing options. They're there when you need them most, so you can tackle unexpected demands and keep your business in the game. Visit business.amazon.com to learn more. All right, I got to ask you this, Diante, because correct me if I'm wrong. You were watching the first half with Pops, who's a Cowboys fan. Is that right?
That's right.
All right. Take me inside the living room or wherever you guys were when the Jalen Carter loogie is unfolding. You being someone who's been around football your whole life and coaching high school kids, and here you're watching this grown man, one of the best players in the NFL, with the loogie. And then later in the night, we get this footage with NBC. What are we doing? Where was that footage earlier? There was no. Dak Prescott had the first spit. Now, whether that was towards Jalen Carter or not, I need the break. Basically, I need everything you have on the spits from this game. Go ahead. What do you got?
So I think Jalen Carter gets ejected. There's obviously a bunch of confusion, right? Like, first of all, I'm sitting here like texting other people that either cover Philadelphia or I know that are Eagles fans. And I'm like, man, all this work that they've done to keep Ben Van Sumeren on this roster, moving him around positions wise, making sure he plays a role on special teams. Like, he's clearly an important player to this organization. And God, you can't imagine a worse way to have to leave a game, right? And we'll see obviously what the injury news is, but the way that he was reacting to what they were doing to test his knee on the field obviously raises some concern. So I'm focused on that. I see a flag. So my thought is like, oh, maybe this is an unsportsmanlike from something that Dallas did while you're making the special teams to offensive exchange because a guy is down, right? Maybe somebody says something, whatever little exchange. And obviously it ended up being a chippy game throughout. And then they show the footage of Jalen Carter spitting on Dak Prescott's chest. And I'm like, what the hell just happened in this football game? We're not even 10 seconds in to the game clock running. A guy just got hurt and another guy just got tossed. I don't know what's going on. And my dad's just kind of looking like, hey, I guess it's even now. Our best defender, not here. Your best defender, not here. We can play real football, going on. And I just think that, as the game plays out, you kind of see the mini stages of grief, right? When Jalen's running around and it's like, hey, man, number 11 probably gets a sack there, or at least a QB hit. Doesn't want to hear that because he's been in my ear about how we can't pay $47 million to this edge rusher. I don't know if he's been reading ESPN's Bill Barnwell talking about cap math and all that, but he's feeling really good about the fact that we're going to spread our money around the cap and we're going to have a competitive team. And then as the game goes on, you see that fade a little bit. And then you get Dak start to heat up in the second half. And it's like, this guy owns Philadelphia. So now he's kind of puffing his chest out a little bit. And maybe thankfully to some CeeDee Lamb drops, we're able to escape out of there. And I get to poke my chest out by night's end. But, we kind of ran through the whole gamut there. And I'm looking forward to the next time Dallas plays Philadelphia because I'm interested to see how Vic Fangio adjusts. And whether or not there are adjustments to be made. And if it's just as simple as when we've got 99 or 95 on the field, everything is right, So that's going to be something to look out for in the future.
Yeah, it's one of I mean, you look at just the drives and you're like, oh, the Cowboys finished fumble, punt, turnover on downs. But I'm with you. I mean, CeeDee Lamb, he dropped one on third down, I think. And then that last one, that was a tough catch. But the one before that on the last possession, I mean, that is a beautiful throw from Dak Prescott, stepping up and firing that downfield. And it's maybe a different game.
Make that play.
Yeah, if you got to make that play if you're going to win some of these games. Now, did Dak, I was fascinated by when they were going back to the Dak original, was he baiting him? What was going on? Because Jalen Carter's walking towards the Cowboys huddle. He's having words with Dak Prescott. Dak Prescott's talking back, and he's kind of splitting his offensive lineman. And he spits, but not at Jalen Carter, but in his direction, and kind of give him a little wink and a look. And then, I don't know if that was Dak Prescott's end game. Great job by him to get the scariest guy on the other team out of the game.
And if there's one guy on Philadelphia's defense that is going to take the bait every single time, it's going to be Jalen Carter, right? So, I am disappointed to see Carter, especially I know that he is aware that this entire defense kind of revolves around the impact that he can make on a down-to-down basis. So you would like to see your best and most important defensive player be mature enough to know, hey, man, can we at least get through a half? Can I see what this is supposed to look like for
maybe
a
a
half?
snap?
Maybe, especially when George Pickens is on the other side and he seems to be able to deal with being held and interfered with without losing his mind. I can't imagine the degree of difficulty is any more hard for him than it would be for Carter. So, disappointing from that regard. But I do love the fact that NBC was almost like litigating this in real time. We've got this whole angle and on all these new details that we had never considered when we were talking about this guy potentially getting suspended by the league. So that was a fun little subplot. I think ultimately, though, nothing comes of this. I think that it was very intentional that they made sure, hey, Dak spit first. We don't know what was being said.
They got the call from the league. Make sure you show the whole story. Okay,
was he trying to diffuse or was he trying to rile Jalen Carter up? So, and I'm sure we're probably going to hear a lot of spin from both of these franchises going forward, because I'm sure there's nothing Dallas would like more than to add to the reputation that Jalen Carter is, one that is easy to kind of get under the skin of and make rash decisions.
I'm going to have to listen to Brian Curtis on this on the press box, because the way it played out, because I'm watching the game, but also following stuff on social media. And so they had this spit right away. Great job by NBC. When it was the flag, what did he do? Did he spit on him? And then they show you the spit in slow motion 700 times. And it's all right. I don't think it's all right, he spit on him. Yes, he deserves to be kicked out of the game. I don't think anyone's making the argument that he doesn't. But then they were done with it. And then it goes to the weather delay. And I don't know if you saw this, Diante, but it was actually the Fort Worth Star-Telegram. Their reporter had a report on social media that Dak Prescott spit in the direction of the Eagles defensive huddle, which sparked Jalen Carter. And then after that, NBC showed the footage of Dak Prescott spitting at Jalen. So I don't know if they just didn't see it at first, but you would think you would be looking at, hey, what might have provoked the guy to spit at Dak Prescott? Let's rewind this,
NBC spends a good amount of money on their Sunday Night Football broadcast.
Yeah,
I know somebody in the truck had to have spun that back and seen what happened.
Yeah, I do like your theory, though, that once the Mike Florio reports start coming out that maybe he could be suspended, then maybe someone makes the call that, hey, show what happened, in the beginning, so that it's a little more not justifiable, but people can say, all right,
let's not make it look like we're running an agenda here, or that, Roger is the one that's watching I hated this and we're going to suspend the guy. Again, let's pump the brakes a bit, get all the information.
That's right.
But definitely a justifiable ejection for Carter. It's not something you can do on the field. No,
you can't just spit at a guy. All right, there you go. We had a lot. The CeeDee Lamb drops, Dak Prescott, great game. Jekyll and Hyde.
We didn't even get to you dunking on Brian Schottenheimer for not running a play before the 2-minute warning on a key conversion down in the game.
Yes.
Something that I know drives you crazy. Ends up costing them an additional timeout that they really could have used to get the ball back and maybe get a couple more opportunities to go take the lead.
It's a long season, Diante. I think I'm going to have more opportunities. All due respect, Brian Schottenheimer. I think
he might give you a few more chances to swing the axe.
There you go. He's going to give me a few more chances. All right. Thank you to Diante Lee. Fun breaking. I had to get inside the living room. Pop's a Cowboys fan, Diante an Eagles fan. What was that like watching this game when a million things were happening? So that was a lot of fun. We'll have Diante back on soon. I'm going to take a little break, and then I'm coming back with my Ringer 107 picks for week 1. All right, in place of the hurry up on Fridays, we will have the Ringer 107. Today's Ringer 107 is brought to you by FanDuel, and every Friday at the end of the show, I am giving you 5 picks. This is for a contest that hopefully you've heard about on other pods. We're all competing. Bill Simmons, the Ringer's fantasy guys, the different iterations of the Ringer gambling show. They're in this as well. So we each make 5 picks a week. We see who ends up with the best record at the end. And if you're wondering how we get to 107, it's a great question. It's unclear to me. I didn't want to be the person to ask. I don't know if anybody knows how we got to 107. So I'm just going to figure it out as we go. Just follow the rules and make my 5 picks every week. But listen, if you're listening to this show, I assume you're rooting for the Ringer NFL show. And we're going to crush these guys. Starting this week, let's go beginning to end in first place. Here we go. My 5 picks for week 1. Pick number 1. The Cleveland Browns plus 5.5 at home against the Cincinnati Bengals. I think this Browns defense has a chance to be pretty good. And while I have a lot of questions about their offense, Cincinnati's defense, can they really stop anybody? I don't think so. So Cleveland can pressure Joe Burrow. I like Kevin Stefanski. The Browns are at home. It's a divisional matchup. It just feels like it's going to be an ugly game. So I'm going Browns plus 5.5 for my first pick. Pick number 2. Give me the Saints plus 6.5 at home against the Cardinals. Now, I understand the Saints are probably going to be terrible, but give me a break. This is a wild number. The Cardinals are 4-13 on the road under Jonathan Gannon. They've won 1 road game in 2 years by more than 4 points. And now they're favored by 6.5 points in week 1 when nobody knows anything. I don't like it. Now, maybe the Saints are just bad. Wouldn't shock me. But you know what? The hipster love for the Cardinals has been really annoying me in recent days and recent weeks. So I'm fading them. Give me the points. Might be the only time I take the Saints all season long. All right. Pick number 3, Miami Dolphins plus 1.5 at the Indianapolis Colts. Do people forget who Daniel Jones is? He is 3-13 as a starter the last 2 seasons, and now he's favored. I don't understand. So I don't like either of these teams, but the Dolphins should at least be able to score and move the football. I think they win the game outright. Dolphins plus 1.5 for my third pick. Fourth pick, Texans plus 3 at the Rams. If you've listened to this show over the past couple of weeks, you know that I got more and more bullish about this Houston Texans football team. I think they got one of the best defenses in the NFL. I think that CJ Stroud is going to bounce back this year, and I think they've got a great shot to win this game. So I don't like going up against Sean McVay, and the Rams have a pass rush that could get after CJ Stroud, but I still like the Texans. I think they'll do enough to keep it close, and I like them to win the game, but Texans plus 3. And then finally, pick number 5, 49ers minus 2.5 at Seattle. I'm bullish on the Niners bouncing back this season. I know Christian McCaffrey has the calf injury. I still like him because I like the Seahawks defense, but I have questions about their offense. And if you listen to yesterday's show, Andrew Whitworth made a great point that Robert Saleh knows how to stop a Clint Kubiak style of offense, that type of scheme. So I think the 49ers defense is going to be able to do enough as well. So there you go. Browns plus 5.5, Saints plus 6.5, Dolphins plus 1.5, Texans plus 3, and 49ers minus 2.5. Hopefully we get off to a hot start. Today's Ringer 107 was brought to you by FanDuel, odds subject to change. All right. Thanks to everyone for listening. Thank you to Christopher Sutton for producing, Kiera Gibbons and Brian Waters on social. Additional production supervision by Conor Nevins and Arjuna Ramgopowell. I will be back in your feed Monday morning. Enjoy week 1, everyone. We'll talk to you next time on the Ringer NFL Show. Must be 21 plus and present in select states. For Kansas, in affiliation with Kansas Star Casino, or 18 plus and present in DC, Kentucky, or Wyoming. Gambling problem? Call 1-800-GAMBLER or visit rg-help.com. Call 1-888-789-. 877-7777 or visit ccpg.org/chat in Connecticut or visit mdgamblinghelp.org in Maryland. Hope is here. Visit gamblinghelplinema.org or call 800-327-5050 for 24/7 support in Massachusetts or call 1-877-8-HOPE-NY or text HOPE-NY in New York.